Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Metal Shop Steve. Some interesting, exciting concert reviewing today. So last night I went to a really great show at, for me, what is a local brew pub, microbrewer, just kind of all around cool place. So I'll give them a shout out first. The place is Lovedraft in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. If you have not been there, get there if you can. They always have a great lineup of bands coming in and out of there, some larger, some smaller. But they really do a lot, and it feels like a kind of a rock club that you would find maybe on the Sunset Strip or even in New York. Very rock and roll club feel to it. Awesome place, awesome atmosphere, great drinks, great food, all of that. So, quick shout out. There you go. Love Drafts in Mechanicsburg. So what they had here was 5 bands playing. We'll talk about each one of those here in a minute. But first of all, I would just like to say there are some bands out there, and I love going to see everybody from the big ones down through the smaller ones. I saw Judas Priest earlier this year. But here's the thing. Judas Priest technically doesn't need your money. And they certainly are already one of the biggest bands in the whole world. And that's great. I love them. I love going to see those kinds of shows. But these smaller shows, local bands, regional bands, maybe up-and-coming bands, maybe bands that have been working hard for a lot of years. And these are the guys who don't make their living exclusively on their music, even though they very much would like to. These are hard-working bands who, for the most part, these folks are working other jobs so they can go out and play the music and do the things they love. So again, please, please, please go support those local, regional, up-and-coming, hard-working bands. It's very crucial for the survival of music, of metal, going forward. So there's my pitch on that. Now let's get into the actual show. And again, it was a 5-band lineup. Nobody really played for that long because there were 5 bands. And actually, William, the singer and guitarist from Sepsis, my buddies in Sepsis, who I really appreciate. He and I were talking after the show, and one of the things that he mentioned to me is how he doesn't get the feeling that a lot of people want to sit there and see 60 minutes or more of the same band, of the same music. And you know what? The more I think about it, I kind of feel that way too. I mean, sure, if you're paying $200 for a ticket to go see a really huge band, you probably want to hear 2 hours worth of music, maybe. But for the most part, people want to hear some songs. They want to feel good. And then they want to hear some more songs, some different stuff. So what I can say, the 5 bands playing all each had their own individual flavor. You could hear their individual influences there. So it was a very diversified sounding night. Everybody brought their own stuff to the table. And what I loved the most about all of this is it was artists supporting artists. When the other bands were not playing, they were up there at the stage cheering on and dancing and moving and throwing their fists up there for the other bands that were playing. So, love that. The night started with a band called Spinebelt. And I'll admit that I didn't really know a lot about some of these bands going in. I tried to listen to them where I could find their music before the show, just to kind of familiarize myself a little bit. Sepsis was the only one I really knew. If you go way back in the Metal Shop Steve library, you'll see that I think the first interview I ever did on this channel 4 or 5 years ago was Sepsis. Full disclosure, I did not have all my stuff together when I did the interview. The interview was great. The actual technical presentation was not. But nonetheless, I've stayed in touch with them. I'm so excited. This is the first time I actually got to see them perform live. But more about them coming up. Anyway, the other bands. So starting out, Spinebelt. And they really kind of just set the tone for the night. They crushed just the whole building. It was so, it was heavy. And so the setup they had was kind of your traditional 4-piece setup. But in addition to the lead singer, you also had their guitarist who was adding his own layers of kind of that harsh vocal. So sometimes you had the vocalist actually singing a little bit, but there was this kind of interplay between two harsh male vocals at the same time, which you don't get. A lot of times you'll see maybe a male and a female, but a band that has just two harsh male vocalists at the same time, I thought that was really cool. And then, again, I don't really know all the names of the songs, but one of their songs, probably one of my favorite parts of the evening, kind of the last toward the end of their set, there's kind of the breakdown in the middle of this one song where it was just this mix of low-end riffing and, the bass, and it was just so, like, relentless, just so riffy. That's one of my favorite words. I really like that. And then they led into the next song, which I believe was probably my favorite song of the whole set. And this band has been around for a while, probably around 25 years. They've been working hard. They've been playing for a long time. So again, that's Spinebelt. Next up, we have Take the Name. And again, one of the things that I would like to do here to do my part to help promote these kind of bands is I'd like to try to get some interviews with some of the bands that I saw. I talked to all the folks last night involved. Everybody seems to be good, so you hopefully you'll be able to see interviews with those bands here on the channel in the near future. But again, Take the Name. They came up next. Really cool story about how they actually named the band. But I'm going to leave that for the interview, which hopefully will happen. Now, these guys are local-ish, at least to me, probably the closest of any of these bands. They're not very far, they're based not very far from where I live, so it was kind of cool. They're led by Tyler Kern, lead vocalist, and this was probably the most eclectic sounding band of the night. They had you could hear so many influences in what they do. High energy, young guys, and so without getting like too in depth to, comparing them to anybody, listening to their set. I mean, of course, there's the metal element to it, but I could hear punk. I could hear, and again, all of the best elements of these things: punk, emo, nu metal, even a little bit of rap style vocal in there. Linkin Park, a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I don't like to do comparisons, but a lot of different influences and sound wrapped up into this set, and a lot of it was heavy, and then there was some really feel good stuff. People were really moving to this band. Some people in particular were really moving to this band. So it was such a great, and I think feel good set is probably the best way to describe that. Not in like a quirky, silly way, but just in like, people were digging the music, and they were dancing, and they were moving, and just a really good set from Take the Name. Next up, the third band of the night was Mantra of Morta. And this is, I believe they were the last one added to the bill. They kind of popped up last minute, so I didn't have a chance prior to the show to hear too much about what they sounded like. But from what I heard, I knew I was going to like them. And I absolutely did. Love Mantra of Morta. And they, I think, are from Indiana, if I remember correctly. So here's your setup. And again, without doing too many specific comparisons, right now there's this kind of surge of female-fronted metal bands, very modern metal, but it's like you've got the female singer who can sing and do the growls and the harsh vocals. And that's what this is. Done very, very, very well. so just magnetic to watch. Um, Again, it's the modern metal sound, and just watching her sing, she owned the stage, very much owned the stage, and her personality up there on stage seemed to be this kind of seductive to playful to just a little bit of mischief. You could see that in the eyes and in the vocals. Just very captivating performance. Vocally, beautiful voice. When she's doing clean vocals, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful voice. And then switching off to that harsh vocal with absolutely no hang up. It is just great transition. So that was an absolutely outstanding set. And again, you can see where there was just really no room for anybody to not perform a great set here. 5 bands, everybody gets a modest amount of time, and then the next band comes on. So next up, 4th band of the night, Nail Bite. And this one, actually, they are really young rockers. And I think I was the most surprised by this set. And I'll tell you that if you go out and jump on your streaming service or wherever you're getting your music, and you listen to some of these bands, you might be surprised in the difference between what you hear there and what you hear live. Nailbite, I was not prepared for what I heard live. The music that I heard on my streaming service was great, but then when I saw them live, it just took it to a whole new level. And it's great when a band really surprises you like that, especially when it's a great surprise. Again, young, so their lead vocalist, they had a female lead vocalist, but also there were kind of, for the most part, dual vocals the whole time. So I don't even know if you'd say lead vocalist. Dual vocals, male, female, lot of harsh vocal here, but then also some really kind of quieter moments too. And then toward the end of the set, they just got so in the moment, so ramped up, and it was so loud and so just kind of, there's like this loss of control, but in a really great metal, exciting way. Very high energy, very, very, very high energy for this band. And then that brings us to the 5th band of the night, the closing band. I don't know if you'd call it headlining band because everybody, kind of did their part. But Sepsis, and again, I knew these guys from doing an interview with them, and if you haven't heard them, please go check them out. They are a great group of musicians and great people too. So I'll give you the rundown here. Lead vocals, Melissa, and then also you get some vocals, lead / supporting vocals from William, the guitarist, Mr. Goodbars on keys, and then you have second guitar, you have Cam Loud, bass, Johnny Impact, and then on drums, Joe Mercy. And by the way, got a drumstick. The end of the show, the obligatory throwing out of drumsticks and picks and all that kind of stuff. So got a drumstick here. Joe even signed it for me. So Sepsis, they are, I've said it before, but they are a really hard-working band. They go out there, they hop in that bus, and they go out on the road and they just perform. And they perform all over the place. They perform at their best. And it was just such a great set. So they have some music out there that you can go find. They have kind of a compilation album. They've been putting out a lot of singles and kind of going that way. And I think that's the way it's going to happen going forward too. There's 1 or 2 compilation discs or albums that you can grab out there. So they played a lot of that. They played a couple of my favorite songs. But in truth, the whole set was fantastic. So there's a very modern metal sound, but you can also tell that all of these guys, and Melissa, girl included, they have some really great metal influences, and we'll talk about them. And they've all got different influences, from old school metal to all the way up through new school metal, and it shows, and it shows. And it doesn't show in a way where it's like, okay, well, this song is this band, this song is this band, this song is this band, but just in the way everything melds together. And, Melissa and William's vocals kind of playing off each other on stage, great stage presence. It was just a really amazing set. They played one new song that has not been released yet. I loved it. Can't wait for it to be released. Can't wait to hear some more of the new stuff too. And actually, probably a follow-up interview with Sepsis. I talked to William. We're going to set that up. We'll have that coming out at some point here. Whatever their tour schedule is, whenever they get some downtime. We're going to talk with them again, just to kind of follow up and see what's been happening over the last few years since we talked to them last. But just a really great evening of metal. And I can't say enough, again, I'll reiterate right before I close here. Go out to your local venues, your local bars, breweries, wherever they're having music, and support those bands. Those are the guys. It's where the future of music really is. And these people are working hard to get to where some of these other, huge bands are. And some of them might not be trying to get there. They're just going out there and doing what they love. They're playing music. So go support them. Definitely go support them, because, again, they're not making their living off of this. Most of them have other jobs, but got to support what they do because they're doing it really, really well. So that's it. That's my take on this show. It was put together by 717 Entertainment. It's a Central Pennsylvania group that brings metal acts in and puts on shows in various venues around Central Pennsylvania. I'm going to try to get in touch with them too and just see what else they've got coming up. But I'm going to try to give you all the links to everything I talked about here, all the bands, Lovedraft's brewery, kind of everything I talked about in the video. I'm going to try to link down below so you can go find out for yourself. But again, check these bands out. Go support your local bands. And that's it. Thank you for coming by again and listening to me talk. Have a great day.